Hello, everybody. My name is Starlene Breiter, and I am a vibrational astrologer. I am going to be sharing with you today in this video the upcoming astrology for September 23rd, 2019 to September 29th, 2019. That is Monday through Sunday. I will be doing these videos once a week, so feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed to it, hit the notification bell so that you'll get a notification that I have been put up a video and you can watch the video. And also you can comment and let me know what you think about the video and how this resonates with you. I would love to hear that. We have a really big week ahead of us, and I'm going to be talking about the equinox that happens on Monday. I will be talking about the new moon that happens on Saturday, and I will be talking about the vibrational astrology that will be going on throughout the week. In particular, I'm looking at the midpoints with vibrational astrology. I think the vibrational astrology gives us a very big insight into what's going on. Midpoints are 3 planet patterns that happen to be going on, and they have an influence on us. I think they have an influence on us that is deeper than just looking at 2 planet patterns. So I will be talking about that, and I would love to hear your feedback. As far as I know, there is nobody that's doing a report like this using vibrational astrology method and midpoint forecasting. So I'd love to hear what you think, and I'd love to hear how this resonates with you or even doesn't resonate with you, because to me, I think this is going to help all of us to understand astrology a little bit deeper. I will be putting out a video about midpoints and how midpoints are figured out if you would like to watch that later on this week. So you'll be able to see exactly what those midpoints mean, but I will tell you what they mean basically as I go along explaining them. Just like a general overall about midpoints and how they work. So I'm going to jump right into this week, and I'm going to talk about the vibrational astrology and the midpoints, and then I'll move on to the other astrology things. And then the last thing I will be talking about is a gemstone suggestion that you might want to work with for this week using these energies, because I believe, and I'm a gemstone expert, and I believe that gemstones do help us work with energy. They help us deflect negative energy. They help us smooth out like rough energy, and they can be really helpful for us. This is not part of vibrational astrology, the gemstones. That's just my own little personal, addition to this. But I do think it's wonderful and helpful. So I hope that you guys like it too. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is this midpoint that is going on from the 23rd to the 26th. It has a peak time of the 25th. And this midpoint is Uranus opposite Mars, the Mars-Jupiter midpoint. So for instance, if you're looking at a chart wheel, Mars and Jupiter could be here, and then Uranus would be opposite the Mars-Jupiter midpoint, the halfway part between Mars and Jupiter. Like I said, I'll explain it better in a midpoint video. This is just to kind of give you an idea of what a midpoint is. This pattern here creates an energy that we are all intertwined in. So Uranus opposite Mars Jupiter is really about quick action. It's about living in the present moment, and it's about a big desire to do that. If you aren't living in the present moment, then we can have challenges. Sometimes Mars and Uranus can sometimes be a signature for accidents, and I don't want to scare you or anything like that, because I don't think that it is only for accidents. I think it can be accidents if you're not channeling it correctly. If you're channeling it correctly, you're doing something like going for a run. You're doing something that's really up, that's really allowing you to be in the present moment. You're doing something that is in the present moment that is very big, because Jupiter wants things to be big. So if you feel like you wanted to run 5 miles and you, like, I'm just using this as an example because I'm a runner, like if you feel like you want to go run 5 miles and you normally run 2, then I think that this is a great time to do it in, to like expand something beyond what your normal realm is, of the present moment. So that could also, be something along the lines, if you are an artist and if you want to, in art, and being an artist myself too, you really have to be in the present moment to create art. So if you're wanting to create something and you've had this really big idea for yourself of something that you wanted to create, this might be a great time to put some energy into that. That's the Mars influence, the energy influence. So, this could be spelled out in many different ways. And that's the thing about astrology, is I believe that all of the planets have certain functions that they just absolutely do. And I will talk about that in another video about the function of each planet. But they all have functions, and then they could be manifest in different ways. It depends on you. It depends on your life. It depends on what you're going through. You know, so if, like, for instance, I am into astrology, I'm wanting to share, you know, some new videos here like I'm doing now under a Mars, Uranus, Mars, Jupiter energy, this might be a great time for me to put some energy into working in the present moment and making that happen for myself. So, you know, in a way, I'm kind of expressing that energy right now, you know, but you may not be an astrologer, so you wouldn't have any desire to do that. But you would look at your own life and say, how could I express this in a way that would be interesting to me, that would be helpful to me, you know, instead of being somewhere lost, you know, in my head in the past or in the present, or I mean in the future. I can be in the present moment and I can do it really big because I'll have energy to do that. You know, that's that Mars and Uranus kind of thing. So that is from the 23rd to the 25th with the peak on the 26th. Enjoy that energy, use it because it's going to be there whether you use it or not. If you don't use it, you might feel things like anxiety, you might feel stress, you might feel like you just want to get somewhere but you're not there, or you might have an accident if you're not in the present moment. Those are all potential symptoms of this particular, you know, vibration. And I would like you to use it in a positive way, of course, so try to think about it from that perspective. We also have from the 27th to the 28th with the peak on the from the 27th to the 29th, the 30th, and the peak is on the 28th. This is a Pluto is being opposite of the Sun and Uranus, okay? So this is really a heightened drive or compulsion to be in the present moment. See, again, we're having our Uranian kind of energy. I told you this week is going to be very Uranian. It's going to be very, very spontaneous, very, very desireful to be in that present moment. So make sure that you are in that present moment. Make sure that you're not too far into the future, too far into the past. Make sure you're just living right there. And Pluto gives us this like drive, this really strong compulsion to be in the present moment. It can create a sensitivity in us as well. So if you're feeling sensitive, just know that that is the flow of this time. You know, if you're feeling like things come up from the, you know, what you've buried inside of yourself, notice it and say it's okay. You know, in that present moment, like, don't fester it and push it back down. Allow it to come out and allow it to, you know, run its course. You know, anything that you might have like put down inside of yourself, you may notice surfacing, you know, because the sun's influences is what we are, you know, it's the essence of us, it's our body, it's ourselves, you know. And then the Pluto, it has that compulsive need, that desire to bubble up from what's inside of us. And then Uranus being that present moment energy, it's like, yes, we're having a chance to say, hey, what's in us? Do we need to process it a little bit more? Do we need to focus on it a little bit more? Do that kind of work, because I think it would be healthy for you. It is definitely an energy that can be very sensitive, but it can also be very strong too. So just keep yourself at peace with that and know that this is just something that is unfolding within all of us. And this does lead into next week, which is, like I said, from the 27th to the 30th, with the peak date being on the 28th. So that is the vibrational astrology midpoints that last more than a day this week. And there will be more to talk about, I'm sure. I'm actually going to talk about some more when I get to the new moon, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the weekdays and what aspects are going on each day of the week this week. So the first thing that I see is Monday, the 23rd. The sun goes into the sign of Libra. This happens at 3:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And by the way, I will be saying Eastern time. Everything will be in Eastern time in this video because Eastern time is where I live. If you live somewhere else, you can do the math and figure out the time that it exacts. The reason I tell exact times is because there is an energy of culminating, right? Everything until the peak time, it's culminating. The energy is going up. It gets to a point at the peak time and then it slowly starts to fall away. And that, you know, some things are much quicker than others and some things are slow to peak and then slow to go down. You know, it really just depends on the planets, and because each planet moves at a different speed. So the sun moving into Libra, though, that is a whole entire month of the sun moving through a sign of Libra. And this also does mark the equinox. The equinox is you know, the mark of the new season being, if you're in the northern hemisphere, autumn, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's spring. So happy autumn and happy spring to everybody. So this is also, the sun joins Mercury and Venus that are already in Libra, and then Mars will join them in next week when it travels into Libra. It will be, it's a time of partnerships. Libra is a sign of partnerships. It's a sign of connecting with other people, not just other people, but your partnership, you know, as in your loved ones, but your partnership with your boss, your partnership with the people you work with, the partnership that you have with your children, with your family, with your friends. You know, it's not just your lovers or your spouse or anything like that. It's a partnerships that you have with other people. So this is a really nice time for us to focus our energies on that, especially during the time with all these other inner planets in the sign of Libra as well. So that is what's going on Monday the 23rd, and it will last for an entire month. The sun will be traveling through that sign. Moving on to Tuesday, the 24th, September 24th, Mercury makes a sextile to Jupiter, and this peaks at 5:01 p.m. This is about new ideas. Mercury is our mind. It's how we communicate. And Jupiter is about making things big. So in that sense, we may want to come up with new ideas during this time. We want to reach beyond in our mind, beyond our own normal realm of where we are. So during this time, this aspect only lasts about this day. It won't last much further than Tuesday. And during this time, it's about like thinking about, maybe I want to pick up a book that I've been thinking about reading, but I just haven't for a while. Could be a book on a different subject that you've never read before. Could be something philosophical. You know, Mercury and Mercury and Jupiter are very interesting planets because they kind of feed off of one another. Mercury is our mind, and Jupiter is our expression of that, our growth of that. So we are trying to grow our minds during this time, and it's a great time to do some studying too if you have studying to do. So that is also something to think about on Tuesday. So moving on to Wednesday, the 25th, we have Venus making a square to Saturn, and this peaks at 3:19 p.m. And this always makes me think of sincerity. I love the idea of sincerity under this transit, and sincerity and a desire for real relationships. So Saturn does this thing with everything. This is the function of Saturn. And like I said, I'll talk about the function of planets in another video, but the function of Saturn is really stripping down anything superficial. It takes away the superficialities, the superficial things, the things that are like not all that important, the things that are just going to fade away. And I'm not saying that they're not important as in, you know, the grand scheme of things, because not everything has lots of importance to it. But in the sense of Saturn, it does strip away anything that really isn't substantial. So what it does is it strips away anything in regards to the things that we're attracted to when it's connected with Venus. Venus is about what we're attracted to. The function of Venus is what we're attracted to. So in a sense, Venus is stripping away anything that's frivolous. If you're in a relationship that's frivolous or that doesn't seem like it's very deep, you might notice that you're really not feeling it during this time. You might notice that you're like, oh, well, maybe there's something deeper for me here. You know, maybe there's someone deeper for me here, because you're actually feeling kind of like, you know, that's what you want in your life, as opposed to going to something, you know, where you're just dealing with the superficial relationships and that's okay with you, you know. So if you're feeling that way, I think it's time to kind of explore that and say to yourself, okay, so, you know, what is more meaningful to me, you know? And I love the idea of Venus and Saturn, because Venus and Saturn are both planets about something of sustenance. You know, Venus wants something they're attracted to, something you're connected to on a sensitive emotional level. And so Venus has this, you know, very tangible kind of energy to it, and Saturn does too, because Saturn is like, is it real? Is it something important to me? So I think it's a great time for you to kind of assess relationships, friendships. You know, are they important to you? Do they make sense? Are they something that you really want? Is this something that you want to proceed with? this is a great time to think about this. This is this is what, Wednesday the 25th. So that's the energy of Venus squaring Saturn. If you're feeling also, like, one last thing before I move on, if you're feeling like you are in a relationship that is very superficial based on just what's on the surface, you may notice that you want to move forward and don't want to continue that. That may be something that pops up for you during this time, and there's nothing wrong with that. You could ride this energy out and say, okay, I'm feeling this way right now, but it doesn't really matter because that's not, really what I want in my life, and move forward, and things will, lift. The heaviness will lift there. But if you're in the space of like, oh, I really do want meaningful relationships, you may decide to just let go and move forward from any of those relationships. So that's something for you to think about during Wednesday when this aspect is very strong. So moving on to Thursday, the 26th, we have Mercury squaring Pluto at 7:49 p.m. And this can kind of give us like a mental obsession, like we start thinking compulsively. We start thinking like deeply. Mercury is our mind, our thoughts, our communication, and Pluto is our intensity. It is our desire for a deep and intense, mental thing going on. And so when it's making this very powerful square, it's saying, hey, are we thinking about the things that are important to us? Are we thinking about good things? You may notice yourself going in that state. Some of us do this thing where we go in our mind and we're like reeling almost in our mind. Make sure if you do that, you're doing it and you're focusing your attention on the things that you really want to create in your life as opposed to things that you do not, because we truly do manifest our world by our thoughts first. And if we're manifesting our world by our thoughts first, and we're focused on all these negative things, these worries, these scary things in our lives, then we're not actually using our energies properly. If we're focused on things that we do want to create in our lives, then we are using our energies properly, and our physical actions will come from that and actually make it happen. So think about that on Thursday. Think about your thoughts, and if you're putting your attention on the things that you really do want to create in this world. If you're not, then maybe it's time to start to change that around. Catch yourself thinking about what you're thinking about, and pay attention to that, because I think it's really important as far as manifesting and growing the life that you want to live. So that is Thursday, the 26th. Moving on to Friday, the 27th, there are no exact aspects to talk about, so I'm just going to skip over that, and I'm going to go right to Saturday, the 28th. So Saturday, the 28th is the new moon in Libra. I touched on that. The new moon in Libra, new moons are always new opportunities for us to work with the energies that are present in that new moon. Since the Libra energy, like I spoke about earlier, is a lot about our relationships and our connections with other people or other things, I think it's a great time for us to set some intentions on, this is what I want to draw into my life as far as the newness comes to it. This energy, this new moon energy, is what I want to draw into my life. This new relationship, this new partnership, these are the things I want to draw into my life. I would tell you to set some affirmations, to say some affirmations, or maybe even to light a candle, say a prayer, however you want to, really connect and have reverence for this new moon. I think it would be a great idea. And the focus of that is partnerships and connections with other people. So thinking about that is really important. Now, the midpoints that are happening right at the new moon, I think, are really important to talk about. And I will tell you what the midpoints are. It is the Pluto is opposite the Sun Uranus midpoint, and there's only a 6-minute orb, which means it's super, super close. And as Pluto is also opposite the Moon Uranus midpoint, okay, which is a 6-minute orb, because that means that the sun and moon are conjunct each other. That's the new moon in the sky, and then Pluto is basically just opposite that conjunction. So this is a powerful energy for us, because Pluto brings this power behind it. So this new moon is really powerful. There will be an intense desire for many of us to really bring the present moment forward, because we're talking about Pluto and we're talking about Uranus, and these are really powerful for us. we have an intense desire to bring reform to the present moment. You know, Pluto and Uranus are also about reform, about changing things. If you feel like things have not been going well for you lately, then now is the time to start making these changes. As we are moving into 2020, yeah, 2020, we are moving into when in January, when Pluto and Saturn do make their conjunction. So what I've been telling my clients is to remember that the more you get yourself together and structured now, the easier this is going to be. Because what's going on is every time a planet makes an aspect to Saturn right now, a couple days later, you know, or even a day later, depends on the other planet, it makes an aspect to Pluto because they're so close in the sky. And they're going to keep doing that until Pluto and Saturn actually make a conjunction in the sky on in January of 2020. And as that happens, like I said, Saturn is giving us a chance to strip us down from anything frivolous, and then Pluto is giving us a chance to reform and grow. So we're getting this opportunity to do that. This new moon is a great chance for us to say, with this Pluto opposite the Sun Uranus midpoint, and then the Pluto opposite the Moon Uranus midpoint, at such a tight orb, it gives us a chance to kind of catapult us into saying, this is what I really want to create in my life. This is the reforming that I want to make happen for myself. This is what I want to do to reform myself. How can I make that happen? It could be for you, like finding a new job, finding a new love, finding something, you know, that makes you happy, a new hobby. You know, for me, it's kind of like doing this YouTube stuff. This is my new, you know, venture that I'm doing with myself. So, you know, I started it before, but I'm talking about it now. And I think that it's kind of interesting how things will unfold like that for you. So think about it in the context of your own personal life. How is this affecting you? And how can you utilize this energy to make it work for you? So Saturday is a really powerful day for us with this new moon that happens, and the peak of it is at 2:26 p.m. and it is at 5 degrees 20 minutes of Libra. So that is the energy of the new moon and the vibrational astrology that goes with it too. And it is my opinion that, you know, these new moons and full moons, since I'm not talking about the moon transits except the new moon and full moons in these reports, I really think the new moons and full moons are like points of interest for us because we're able to say, okay, this point of interest and this intention that I'm setting with the new moon right now is catapulting me into the next cycle of the moons, right? Until the moon moves into the next sign. The new moon moves into the sign of Scorpio, and the new moon of Scorpio comes next month. So I think it's an opportunity for us to move into what do we want to project ourselves into for the next month. You know, give yourself some thought about that. I think it would be really helpful for you, and also helpful for you in the long term, thinking about how we're all restructuring and reforming ourselves with this Saturn and Pluto conjunction that is coming up in January. Okay, so that is the new moon on Saturday the 28th. There is one more aspect that I want to talk about on Saturday the 28th. It is Venus making a sextile with Jupiter, and that does peak at 7:40 p.m. And Venus and Jupiter making a sextile is really friendly. It's social. It's outgoing. Go enjoy something that you really like doing. You know, this would be a wonderful thing. I mean, it's Saturday night, so it'd be a wonderful thing to go out and enjoy, like an art museum, or to go to an art exhibit, or to go to a concert, or something that you enjoy that's artistic. This would be something really wonderful to do. It would be fun to be social with other people as well. You know, that would go really probably smooth and harmonious with everybody. So, and since a sextiles often are harmonious, but they're also active. So you may feel a drive to do this and just gravitate towards doing this anyway. So it's kind of interesting that nice that it lands on a Saturday night. So on Sunday, the 29th, there are actually no exact aspects to talk about. So I'm just going to skip right over that. And that is the astrology for this week coming up. So the last thing I would want to talk about before I let you guys go is I want to share with you two crystals that you might want to work with during this time of the week that I'm talking about. The first one I want to share with you is called fluorite. And I have a few examples of fluorite here on my desk. that I want to share with you guys. Fluorite is wonderful for helping you deal with that Uranian energy. This is an octahedron of fluorite. As you can see, it actually grows like this. This is a natural formation here. So this is the octahedron of fluorite. It's just a small piece. Fluorite, you don't need a big piece of fluorite at all, or any stone for that matter, to work with its energy. This is a fluorite sphere. You can see it's blue and purple, and it's got some stripes in it with different colors. And then this one is a slab of fluorite. Whoops. As you can see, it's got the green, it's got purple, it's got white fluorite. All of the different fluorites have different energies with them. The green the purple helps with the higher chakras. The green helps with the heart chakra, and the white helps with all of the chakras. It helps to balance out and helps to bring about more smooth energy. It's very Uranian, this stone. I particularly can't sleep with fluorite because it gives me really crazy dreams, but I love having it when I work because it helps me focus. Actually, I have a piece sitting on my lap, so this is the last piece I'll show you. This is another piece of an octahedron that actually came up, and I love the energy of it because it helps me focus. It helps me kind of like know what I want to say, know what I want to do, and focus in on it and make it happen. So as you're going through this week and you're dealing with all these Uranian energies of wanting to be present in the moment, this would be an excellent gemstone for you to work with. So I'm telling you, this one is a wonderful gemstone to work with this week. The other gemstone that I wanted to share would be particular for working with the Libra new moon. I didn't have a small piece that I could find, so I put my big piece right here. This is rose quartz. This is actually a huge piece of rose quartz, so I'm not going to pick it up. But rose quartz you can get in small pieces. It's very inexpensive. It's very common. It's just a pink stone. It's quartz with some minerals in it that create it to be rose quartz as opposed to just quartz. It is a wonderful stone for helping opening up the heart chakra, and also to help you with connecting with other people on an emotional level. So it's a wonderful stone to work with. I think it's beautiful. It has a lovely energy to it, and it's definitely connected to the energy of Libra. So I hope you can use rose quartz. I would tell you to use it during the during the new moon. I think that would be wonderful stone to work with or even keep in your pocket. The fluorite, I would tell you to keep it, with you in the present moment. So when you're trying to do present moment things, I think that would be wonderfully for you to work with, so you can help focus and everything like that. So that does conclude my very first YouTube video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really, really appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I do look forward to hearing what your feedback is. I plan on doing another video this week, but I'm going to be doing a tarot video, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and let me know what you think. It's been wonderful talking with you guys. Thank you guys for letting me share, and I look forward to talking to you next week about the astrology coming up as well. Namaste, everybody.